What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out insane Western experimental weapons tested in Ukraine. This is by The Military Show. I will leave a link down in the description like I always do. Please go and give the original video a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. The Military Show is a fantastic YouTube channel. And again, we should be supporting each other. Us military content creators, we should be supporting each other and helping each other out. So go over to The Military Show, give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Experimental kit. I know I said quit then. Kit. I'm excited. Listen, part of me always wants this experimental stuff to be UFO tech that's been reverse engineered by Lockheed Martin and Skunk Works, because we all know they've got UFO aircraft that they've recovered and they're keeping it secret. You know I've been down the rabbit hole. You know I love that type of stuff. I'm sure it's not, though. I don't know what this is about, but we're going to find out. Let's have some fun. Before we get started, check out Chug. 10% off. Link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world. This is phenomenal. Keeps your beverage cold for a very long time. Studs on the bottom to protect your cup. Free customization. Really cool rope handle. It's an actual piece of rope. You get a free bag with it. You get 10% off. Link down below. You're not going to get a better offer anywhere else. And I swear, these things are selling like crazy. Even the fat electrician bought one, I think. Well, he said he was going to in the comments. Whether he did or not is another question. But you should get one. Also, check out Morale. Today, the first episodes of the Morale podcast went up, which is very exciting. I'll link them somewhere. And maybe at the end. But you should check it out. You should totally check it out. I think that's all I've got to say. Let's pull this up. Let's see what's going on. What tech is it? You going to play?
Insane experimental weapons are being tested in Ukraine right now, and they're changing everything. This isn't just a war zone, it's a battlefield lab, where America and its allies are deploying bleeding-edge tech against one of the world's largest militaries. We're talking autonomous drones that ignore jamming signals, laser cannons frying targets mid-air, next-gen howitzers that can shoot, scoot, and vanish in...
Well, it's not just tech that they're testing differently, it's also military tactics, isn't it? We've seen this... drone attack that happened recently, which was just insane. So tactics are changing as well.
Under 3 minutes, and stealth bombs so advanced, their existence was a secret until now. Some of these weapons were still in testing, others weren't even confirmed to exist. Now they're in the fight. So how do these futuristic systems actually work, and what have they already destroyed? Let's start with one of the most mind-blowing breakthroughs in battlefield recon, the Shield AI MQ-35 VBAT drone. Created by the American aerospace and defense company Shield AI, which is based in San Diego, California, VBAT drones are a very recent innovation. They were chosen for prototyping by the US Navy in April 2021 and have since been exported around the world to places like Brazil, India, the Caribbean, and the Middle East. The VBAT is a vertical takeoff and landing, or VTOL, drone.
A vertical takeoff and landing drone? I've never seen that before. This is proper sci-fi tech, this, isn't it? Proper sci-fi tech. I just hope that they don't rely on this stuff. Like, I hope that all soldiers still learn the Bobby basics so that if tech goes down, something happens, they still know how to be a soldier. That's my most important thing. You can't rely on tech. It's great, but it should always be used as an add-on to what you should already know.
Which eliminates the need for any kind of runway. It features a single-engine ducted fan, which it uses for precise takeoffs and landings, and has the ability to instantly switch between hovering and horizontal flight.
Wow.
It measures 9 feet in length, with a wingspan of 9.7 feet and a Suter TOA 288 two-cylinder engine, which gives this drone a maximum speed of 56 miles per hour and an endurance of 10 hours. It can also reach heights of up to 20,000 feet, and it weighs in at 125 pounds.
Wow.
But it's in the software rather than the hardware that the VBAT really excels. It's powered by Shield AI's proprietary HiveMind and VIDAR technologies.
Isn't this company that was founded by... We watched a video recently, and it's founded by the guy that did Oculus. That character, he was wearing like a Ditto shirt in the interview. If it is him, he is going places. He's quite the innovator.
These allow the drones to operate in environments where GPS signals and communications may be blocked, jammed, or otherwise minimized, possibly due to electronic warfare. Usually, military forces make use of jammers and similar devices to disrupt drone communications and effectively render most drones useless, since they aren't able to communicate with their operators. But VBATs can continue to function and fulfill their missions, even when signals are disrupted, thanks to autonomous operations and pre-planned flight paths. They also boast AI-powered target recognition and identification, making them incredible tools for surveillance and recon missions deep behind enemy lines. And that's exactly how the VBAT drones have been used in Ukraine, according to reports from the Shield AI co-founder Brandon Seng. In an interview with Defense One, Seng explained that several VBATs have been delivered to Ukraine and deployed on scouting missions, with the first batch arriving in June 2024. At the time, Seng noted that there was plenty of doubt about the drone's capabilities. There were skeptics on the NATO side, on the American side, that were like, no one's passed this testing. All drones fail here. You guys are going to look like everybody else. However, the VBATs proved the doubters wrong. In their first mission, these drones showed off that they could fly in difficult environments, even in close proximity to signal jammers, without any disruption. We flew within 1,000 meters of these jammers, no impact to our aircraft. It was wildly successful. Later,
that's actually quite profound and also quite scary, because what happens if the enemy get hold of tech like this and they start strapping bombs to it and stuff? Like, I swear, warfare is changing. It's changed so much in the past couple of years. It is getting quite terrifying, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot changing. There's a lot that's changed, and I feel like the next 5-10 years are going to look so vastly different with AI. I actually, on the Morale podcast, the first episode, I had a bit of a rant about AI and how the internet is just going to... The internet's basically going to die. That's what's going to happen, because it's going to be so flooded with artificial intelligence content on YouTube, on all socials, websites. Everything's going to be AI until we get to a point where we don't even trust the internet anymore. We don't know if anything's real on it anymore. And that's terrifying. And then add all this extra technological warfare stuff that's going on. The world's changing. It really is.
That year in August, Ukraine's armed forces decided to use the VBATs for an essential scouting mission near Dnipro. Up to that point, their own recon drones had repeatedly failed to gather any intel due to Russian jammers in the area. They hoped the VBATs might have more luck. They were right. As Seng reports, they launched from about 40 kilometers from the front, flew 100 kilometers past the front line of troops, and then found these SA-11 surface-to-air missiles on 11 Bucks and targeted them and called in HIMARS airburst rounds.
Wow.
The surface-to-air missiles were destroyed, and it was in large part thanks to the scouting power and resilience of the VBAT drones. Unsurprisingly, Ukraine has continued to use them for invaluable intel gathering missions, once more with very impressive results. They were able to collect intelligence that they had never collected before because they had a long-endurance aircraft that was able to watch things for long periods of time. Seng went on to explain how Ukraine's existing aircraft and systems could only observe enemy locations for around 10 to 15 minutes at a time. The VBATs, however, can hover and scout for upwards of 10 hours. That makes it so much easier to gather important intelligence, identify targets, and plan attacks. And that's so important in this ongoing conflict, because the more information Ukraine has about where Russian forces are gathering, what weapons they're using, and where they're moving the likes of jets, tanks, and armored vehicles, the better prepared it will be to fend off future attacks and preempt the enemy's maneuvers.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke about that before. The most important thing in warfare is information. That's legit the truth, right? Yes, you can have all the fancy kit. Yes, you can be the best soldier ever, but the soldier with the most information has such a bigger upper hand, because it's like they know exactly where people are and they can act accordingly, right? They know exactly where equipment is. They know exactly what's going on. They know where their friends are. They know what's going on around there. They can plan maneuvers much better. Intel information is so important. That's why in the Royal Marines training we put a lot of emphasis on recce's and OPs and stuff like that.
But it's not only in the field of reconnaissance that Ukraine has benefited from some exciting experimental equipment supplied by Western allies. Offensively too, the armed forces arsenal has been bolstered with the addition of US-supplied 2CT 105mm Hawkeye mobile howitzer system.
Whoa,
despite still being in the testing
them.
phase, this cutting-edge artillery system was secretly supplied to Ukraine in April 2024. This was revealed by AM General Program Director Mike Evans. We recently put a 105 system into Ukraine. We shipped it in April and trained for 2 weeks. That system is designed to be one of the first soft recoil systems in combat. It's going into combat to test on live targets. In terms of design and height,
to test on live targets? What?
Specs. The Hawkeye mobile howitzer is comprised of an M20 cannon mounted on a high-mobility multi-purpose wheeled vehicle, otherwise known as a Humvee. It features numerous technological advancements, including soft recoil technology, which provides more stable firing and exceptional levels of accuracy in every shot. It's also incredibly fast to deploy, capable of firing shots a mere 90 seconds after the vehicle stops, and is highly maneuverable, ready to hit the road once more just 3 minutes after it stops firing. In terms of
Yeah, basically it's a highly maneuverable cannon, like a crazy agile cannon. I swear, this tech, it's just getting scarier, isn't it, guys? What's going on with this world?
The fire rate. The Hawkeye can reach a maximum of 8 rounds a minute or maintain a
Wow.
steady, sustained rate of 3 rounds per minute as needed. And the M20 cannon can be equipped with any form of 105mm ordnance. With standard rounds, it's able to fire on targets over 7 miles away. But it can also be fitted with rocket-assisted projectiles, extending its range up to and over 12 miles. Additionally, a
What?
155mm prototype is also being tested, which could boast even more firepower and superior range.
It's on the
As
back
for
of
the
a
Humvee
Humvee.
itself, the existing system uses an M1152 two-door cargo truck, which basically provides a mobile platform for the cannon. It features a 205 horsepower
Woo.
engine, anti-lock brakes, and weighs in at just over 14,000 pounds.
Jesus.
All of this means that the Hawkeye mobile howitzer is the lightest and most maneuverable self-propelled howitzer on the planet today. It would make a rapid, efficient, and effective addition to any military force in the world,
And I'm not going to presume, but it looks like a relatively cheaper bit of kit to make, right? It's on a Humvee. The American military has already got a ton of them, right? And it doesn't look like there's a lot of equipment on there. The equipment might be expensive, true, but it doesn't look like it's a crazy amount of kit, which means they're probably fast to produce. They're probably cheap to make. Imagine if you had like 100 of them on a battlefield.
is no doubt a valuable tool in the Ukrainian arsenal, being
It's
more
insane,
than matched
isn't
for
it?
the kind of 122mm artillery systems used by the Russians to bombard Ukrainian targets along the front lines. As far as real-world usage goes, we know that at least one of these systems has been sent to Ukraine and used in combat, though Ukraine's military has not revealed any specific data or reports about how or where it was used. Regardless, its effective mixture of mobility, firepower, and efficiency has surely proven useful. The US also benefits from this too, since the Hawkeye system is still being developed and refined. Thanks to its deployment in Ukraine, the system's manufacturers now have valuable real-world data they can use to inform future deployments and improvements, which could make the Hawkeye even more of a force to be reckoned with in the months and years to come.
That's a very, very impressive bit of kit. Both of these bits of kit have impressed me quite substantially.
Alongside the Hawkeye howitzer, the US has also supplied some even heavier firepower in the form of Joint Direct Attack Munition Extended Range, or JDAM-ER, bombs, giving Ukraine's aerial forces a sizable offensive upgrade. JDAM bombs are not exactly new. The JDAM program has been around for decades. The need for such bombs came about in the wake of the Persian Gulf War, when the US Air Force found its bombing campaigns simply weren't as effective or reliable as they should have been. Too many bombs failed to hit their target, mostly due to difficult conditions like dust, smoke, fog, and cloud cover, making precise strikes challenging to carry out. The
Yeah.
Air Force at the time didn't have a reliable, effective, all-weather precision bomb to utilize.
Which they went ahead and made one, I'm sure, because some of the bombs that America have are so advanced and can penetrate so deep that they can go to like what 60 meters deep or something insane. Like basically, you can't hide. And if there is some thing that is like the weather or whatever that's preventing these bombs from catching you, letting you hide, America will figure it out so you can't hide. That's what's terrifying.
So in the early 90s, research and development teams got to work on an adverse weather precision-guided munition system. The result of their efforts was the JDAM, a guidance kit that converted unguided or so-called dumb bombs into all-weather precision-guided munitions. JDAM bombs boast GPS receivers and integrated inertial guidance systems, making them dramatically more accurate and capable of hitting targets regardless of the weather or environmental conditions surrounding their deployment.
Wow.
By January 2024, more than 500,000 JDAM kits have been produced, and JDAM bombs have been used across recent decades in numerous conflicts, from the War on Terror and the Iraq War to the Syrian Civil War and Yemeni Civil War. Additionally, JDAMs have also made appearances in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, but with a twist. Ukraine's JDAM bombs are actually JDAM-ER variants, with a much greater range than the originals. Regular JDAMs have a maximum range of around 15 miles, while JDAM-ERs can hit targets up to 50 miles away, thanks to the addition of a special wing kit that makes it possible for the bombs to glide and travel greater distances than normal. What's more, Ukraine's JDAM-ER bombs have been specially adapted to suit Ukrainian aircraft, providing the country's aerial forces with precision strike capabilities. It was first reported in December 2022 that JDAM-ERs were on their way to Ukraine as part of a large arms package worth $1.85 billion from the US.
$1.85 billion. Also, I don't know what aircraft the Ukrainian military are actually using. Like, can someone let me know? I actually don't know. Have they got any F-32s? Maybe.
US to help defend the country against Russian invaders.
I meant F-34, not F-32. My head was going F-22. F-34s.
To be more precise, the original JDAM-ERs sent to Ukraine were 500-pound GBU-62s, and reports from the war have since shown these bombs being used on numerous occasions. The first recorded use was reported in April 2023. It occurred in Bakhmut, where 4 500-pound JDAMs were dropped onto a high-rise building in the Russian-occupied area of the city, seemingly by Ukrainian MiG-29s. The building, which could have been used by the Russian invaders.
I meant F-35. My head is not working right now. F-35. Why was I coming up with F-34? I think it's because there's so many that I'm thinking about recently. F-22, the F-47, the F-35 is what I was thinking about. Is my mind working? The F-47 is the new one that's going to be coming out. That's the NGAD one. The F-22 is the Raptor, which is going to be replaced by the F-47. The F-35 is the one that's everywhere. It's the most advanced and quite popular one. I think they've got F-35s out there. I think they've got F-35s. They've probably got that. They've probably got some... What do they have out there? Let me have a look. What do Ukraine use? Let's have a look. What fighter jets are Ukraine using? They've got to be using F-35s, right? Maybe they don't have any F-35s. F-16s. They've got legacy Soviet area aircraft, the MiG-29, Su-27, Su-24, Su-25. So they got no F-35s? I thought they had F-35s. I could have sworn they had F-35s. Let's have a look real quick. I've just Googled if they've got F-35s in use. Ukraine is not operating F-35 fighter jets. Well, there have been discussions about... Oh, maybe that's what I've heard. About potential for Ukraine to acquire F-35s in the future. Several factors make it unlikely. Cost, operation priorities, strategic consideration, blah, 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 blah. In summary, while the F-35 offers advanced capabilities, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I thought they already purchased some. So I'm surprised on that, to be honest with you. F-16s make sense.
Where 4 500-pound JDAMs were dropped onto a high-rise building in the Russian-occupied area of the city, seemingly by Ukrainian MiG-29s. The building, which could have been used by the Russian invaders to store ammo and supplies or as a strategic fighting or observation post, was reduced to rubble in an instant, demonstrating the incredible might of these JDAM bombs. In August 2024, we get a better look at the bombs in action when a video was shared by the official Ukrainian Air Force X account, showing a Ukrainian MiG-29 deploying GBU-62 JDAM-ER bombs on a bridge crossing in the Russian Kursk region, thereby blocking a key logistical pathway for Russian forces, preventing the passage of tanks and vehicles in that area until the bridge could be repaired or rebuilt. But one of the most recent reports gives this story an even more unexpected twist. In February 2025, the Ukrainian Air Force shared footage of an Su-27 flanker jet dropping 2 JDAM-ER bombs. But these were different. They were not the usual 500-pound variants. Instead, the bombs used here were twice as large, 1,000-pound Mark 83 bombs. Up to that point, we didn't even know that 1,000-pound JDAM-ERs existed. Neither the US military nor contractors like Boeing had ever mentioned such a bomb, and some...
This just goes to show the amount of kit we probably don't know is out there being used right now is insane. Like, I guarantee there's some tech, there's some equipment that we've never even laid eyes on, and we won't for another 10 years. I guarantee it.
Experts have suggested that these bombs have been specifically made for use in Ukraine. As well as being twice the weight of the 500-pound variants, the 1,000-pound JDAM-ERs are believed to have about twice as much explosive power, capable of dealing colossal damage to any targets in their path. We don't know how many of these bombs Ukraine has at its disposal, but even a small amount could be sufficient to strike some major blows in the ongoing conflict, and they bring numerous advantages to the table. Firstly, since these are ER or extended range bombs, they can hit targets dozens of miles away. Thanks to that, Ukraine's air forces have the power to engage high-priority targets at greater distances, not having to worry quite as much about navigating difficult enemy airspace or countering Russian air defense systems. They can deploy their missiles from safer locations and let the JDAM guidance system do the rest. The second big benefit is the amount of destructive power packed into each 1,000-pound warhead. Bombs of that size can take out not just enemy buildings, but bases, bridges, infrastructure, enemy air defenses, armored vehicles, production facilities, and more. The range of viable targets is so much bigger when working with bombs of that size as compared to the smaller 500-pound units. In brief, 1,000-pound JDAM-ERs massively strengthen the Ukrainian Air Force, and now that Russia knows about them, it may have to take defensive actions, which could include moving valuable or important pieces of military equipment deeper into its own territory and away from the front lines.
Well, I mean, they're probably thinking about that type of stuff anyway because of the whole drone situation that happened recently. They're probably really rethinking a lot of where all their high-valued equipment is, and they're probably going to start storing it underneath in bunkers, even though that is against certain treaties. They're probably going to start doing that. Yeah, I'd love to know what you think. What tech do you think the US military has got that we don't know about?
Which could give Ukraine a bit more breathing room and perhaps even the opportunity to push on and regain lost ground. However, Ukraine is not just relying on its allies to supply experimental or groundbreaking weapons and technologies. Even while dealing with near-constant bombardment across the length and breadth of its land and fending off wave after wave of Russian attacks, the country is still managing to invest in military research, development, and innovation, creating some impressive experimental weaponry of its own, including futuristic laser weapons, representing the next big leap forward in modern military technology. To be more precise, Ukraine has developed and deployed its own air defense laser system, known as the Trizub system, which is capable of combating all sorts of aerial threats, including drones, helicopters, aircraft, and cruise missiles fired by Russian forces. Ukraine first confirmed the creation of this system in late 2024, with Colonel Vadim Sukharevsky, commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces, stating, "We can confirm that Ukraine is, if I'm not mistaken, the 5th country to possess such a laser. Little is known about how it was made or who by, though the
We're using lasers, guys. We're in the future, aren't we? We're using lasers. What is going on with this planet? It's like the only thing we ever want to innovate on is hurting other people, isn't it? The truth is, I get it. This is for defense. This is for defense. I understand. But, like, imagine if we could put this amount of, like, innovation into something like, I don't know. Something beneficial. My brain's not working. But it would be nice, wouldn't it?
system's name, Trizub, has strong connotations to the trident national symbol of Ukraine, suggesting that it was a domestic innovation. Not long after announcing the system, Ukraine showed it off for the very first time at the European Defense Industry Prospects for Cooperation with the Ukrainian Defense Industry Conference, which took place in early 2025. Various video clips showed the laser in action, and numerous statistics were provided, revealing in-depth details about its potential and technical capabilities. Here's what we know. The Trizub system is capable of engaging aerial targets like aircraft and drones at a range of over 3 miles.
Wow,
it can also engage cruise and ballistic missiles at a shorter range of around 1.86 miles or 3 kilometers.
You're pushing it there a bit though, aren't you? That's pretty close.
Trizub can also blind or disorient enemy drones and aircraft at distances of over 6 miles. The video clips backed up these claims, showing how the system's operator can use a joystick to guide the lasers and lock onto targets, and how its blinding mode can be used to counter FPV drones, putting their optics out of action, which would make it much more difficult or almost impossible for such drones to successfully strike their targets.
That must be quite hard with a joystick to actually hit one, though. That's got to be quite difficult.
Commenting on the system, Colonel Sukharevsky stated, "I am supporting this project so that with the help of technological solutions, we can effectively shoot down enemy reconnaissance drones and ensure the defense of strategic facilities and places of residence of our population. We still have few details about the system's developments, full power and exactly how it operates, but the footage and information shared thus far are all very promising. If Trizub can live up to its potential, it could completely change the state of play in the war and future wars as well. It would allow Ukrainian armed forces to quite literally blast enemy aircraft, missiles and drones right out of the sky instantaneously, using nothing but precise, intense laser blasts."
Just think about that sentence for a second. Just think about that. Right out of the sky. Instantaneously. Using nothing but precise, intense laser blasts. This is Star Wars. This is Star Wars. We're in the future, guys. We're in the future. This is insane.
And this system isn't just in the testing or development phase, it's actually in use in the battlefields of Ukraine today, with Sukharevsky confirming, "I repeat, laser technologies are already striking objects at a certain height. This is so important, particularly at this stage
It's
of
in the
war."
back of a transit van. They've put a laser straight out of Star Wars in the back of a transit van. just cracked open the doors, laser. That is unreal. Absolutely unreal.
As Russia's aerial threats have truly taken a toll on Ukraine's forces and defenses in recent times. In the early stages of the war, much of the combat was ground-based and conventional, involving tanks, troops, armored vehicles, and trenches. But over the years, the Russian strategy has massively shifted, with an increasingly heavy focus on drones and missile strikes. Indeed, in 2024 alone, Ukraine had to cope with close to 14,000 drone strikes, which was a massive increase over the previous years, including 2023, which had approximately 4,700 attacks, while 2022 saw just
14,000 drone attacks. Wow.
2,600. The increasing prevalence of buzzing drones in Ukrainian airspace, seeking out their targets with pinpoint precision and extraordinary destructive force, has made life harder for soldiers on the front lines, as well as civilians and those stationed further inland. The drones can travel hundreds of miles to find their targets, with Russian operators safe and sound in fortified locations far from the front. Ukraine has ways to repel drone attacks, including missiles and air defense systems, but it needs more options, and more efficient ways to take them down.
And the truth is, now that drones have become such a prevalent part of military tech, the defense against these drones is also going to be constantly advancing. And for those of you who don't know, whenever something happens within the military space, or even not in the military space, I've seen this in like the hacking space because of the computer science classes I did at university. Basically, when a new tech appears and it's incredibly advanced and it's like, oh my God, this is a great bit of kit, the defense comes up to it. And then the attack innovates, and then the defense innovates, and then the attack innovates. And it's a constant fight to constantly outdo each other. And so, yes, we can start improving the defense. Great, let's do it. We don't want too many drones coming hurting people, right? But then, before you know it, the people with the drones will find a way around it. And then we've got to find a way to counter that. Does that make sense?
At a time when around 70% of all Ukrainian deaths and injuries are caused by drone attacks.
Wow,
the Trees Up system
70%?
could be that game-changing force that Ukraine has long hoped for. The weapon it needs to strike back, blinding, disorienting, and sending swarms of drones falling from the skies. Whether or not it's able to do all of that to a sufficient standard remains to be seen, and we await more details on this and Ukraine's other innovative, experimental military hardware with great interest. What are your views? Which of these incredible experimental weapons do you think will impact the war most?
Great video. Great video by the military show. What I want to know, and I'll leave a link down below to the original video, please go over there. What I want to know is, what do you think? What tech do you think the US military has that we don't know about? Let me know in the comments. Check out Chug, 10% off, link down below. And check out Morale. Head over to the Morale YouTube. It'll be linked somewhere here now. And you can check out the podcast. I did a couple episodes and I got more coming up real soon. And it's very exciting. Until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.